Hi Geminis, and welcome to your May 2022 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead. I hope you're all doing really well. We're having a really nice reintroduction for you this month. I think that by the time your season gets here, things are going to be a lot more favorable for you. Though we do have a few kind of weird energetic snags that we need to clear up, I feel, for most Gemini people at the beginning of the month so that we can really get to this sort of climax of creativity and more meaningful ending phase that I feel that you're needing. But yes, Geminis, thank you so much for being here. As usual, I'll be doing intuitive messages followed by a week-to-week tarot forecast and an extended reading on Patreon. I feel the energy really clearly and really vibrantly for you. I've actually had a few days without doing readings, so you're here the first one back after taking a few days off. And I've been thinking a little bit about your energy over the last few days, actually. As someone with a lot of Sagittarius in my chart, I find that I have a lot of reciprocity, I think, with Geminis. I see that they have a lot of similar experiences that they go through. And what I'm seeing for Sagittarius and Gemini people is basically a complete shift in values and a new understanding of how to consume or let things into your experience. And it's all kind of centering around the theme of deprivation, okay? And understanding that any type of deprivation or any type of even like starvation mentality is a big threat here, okay? I'm seeing a lot of mistakes or a lot of boundaries not honored if we're in a state of deprivation or what I almost want to call like starvation. It's not just like hunger or food, but any type of situation where you're having to like put off meals, you're having to, not have enough in your experience for whatever reason, whether it's not enough sleep, not enough food, not enough, social time, not enough of anything. This is a big threat now, okay? In fact, the last year of 2021 could have kind of seen you like overdoing it. So there could have been like overeating or over resting. And now as we've come into the 2022 year cycle, it feels that it's switched over to the extreme opposite polarity. And you might have already seen at the end of April a few weird boundary issues as a result of going too long without something. So I definitely invite you, Geminis, to think about what you've been going too long without. This could be healthy diet. This could be also friendships or not talking to the people that you treasure or value in your life enough. There's something of a lack crisis that is being fixed this month, because by the time we get to your time of the year, so around May 21st and ahead, there's going to be a major switch up and you're going to be thriving in a way you haven't in a long time very soon. And it might even be into June before that's really connecting to some of you, depending on where your Gemini placements are at. If you have a later Gemini placement, it might even be towards like middle or late June before you're really seeing the switch. But it is a sizable shift happening for a lot of you, or about to happen, so I want to prepare you for that. You have a lot of 12th house activity. Okay, Uranus in Taurus, North Node in Taurus. We have a Taurus stellium. We have a Mercury retrograde that's going to be happening as well, moving back into Taurus. And that means that you are having a shift in sort of undercurrent. Okay, so the undercurrents of your experiences are changing, which is precipitating or foreshadowing a real tangible value shift. So we need to be aware of that if that's happening. It's a tough period of time for Geminis to act like nothing's wrong if something is, to be too frugal or too spendthrift. Either way, balance is important, all right? And I think that all of you need to give yourself more of something. So if you can identify what it is that's lacking or what it is that you're not permitting yourself to experience, it seems easy to start introducing it in a healthier way. And it also seems, again, by mid-May, that you have a completely open experience to basically redefine all of your resources in your life. So the food that you're eating, the time that you're spending, all of this stuff is going to be very open for a complete reset or a complete recalibration. And that's going to be very beautiful It might not come through until that mid or late May time period, though. So if you guys aren't feeling it, especially if you're listening to this reading late April or early May, try to understand that it is coming, okay? Having the world, having the Hermit, the Moon, the Death card, 4 major Arcana cards this month. It's going to be memorable, and it's going to kind of be like very poignant, I think, the things that are leaving the experience or the things that are over. A lot of you have done the hard thing, in 2021 especially. The gauntlet, I feel that your sign and Sagittarius and even like Taurus and Aquarius were going through is beginning to eclipse out, right? We have that big solar eclipse happening in your 12th house, April 30th. So right as you're hitting May, like May 1st, there is a difference there. And it's just probably going to take a few weeks for it really to be perceptible. But all of these major Arcana cards, especially, whenever the world and death come up in the same reading, that's really prominent ending energy. And, there's that eclipse happening, and having the death card right after an eclipse, it seems like it's really affecting you. And it can be so positive. It can be an incredible universal, reduction of the negative in your life, or reduction even of scrutiny or negative gossip that you are experiencing from other people. And as you're moving through the month, you're going to be wanting to maybe be more alone or having more time to yourself to redefine how you're creatively expressing. The end of the month, again, looking so beautiful with the World and King of Wands, like a brand new way of creatively expressing and the opportunity to really start a new chapter in your experience. So it's going to be really nice, Geminis, at a certain point in time, but there is a very pivotal, important understanding of what you need more of in your experience, okay? It's specifically nutritionally, okay? Because the solar eclipse is happening in Taurus, which deals a lot with the health of the body and the physical form. So really pay attention to anything that has you like skipping meals, or even like maybe you're eating the meal, but maybe there's not a lot of nourishment or nutrition in it. So it's kind of like skipping a meal, even though you've eaten. We all need to be paying attention to things like that here, because it might be creating more of a problematic mindset or more of a disequilibrium than we imagine. We might be looking at that person in our lives, or that breakup, or that ex, or that trauma from the past, and thinking, oh my God, it's causing so much havoc on my life. But we might not realize that it's actually just very simply like a matter of daily routine and even a certain chemical status of the body that's generating that feeling of problem or generating that feeling of trauma. And we're conflating it with something that we've actually kind of healed from at this point in time. So that's really the main point for this month for you. But let's talk about your week to week. Okay, first week of May, Death rooted down by Page of Pentacles. A change in the material in your life. Some of you are moving. Some of you are perhaps adjusting to a smaller income or a more strict budget, which is good for everyone to be doing. One of the key components of the 2022 and the first half of 2023 year cycle is about adjusting to less, or about having a less consumptive lifestyle in order to gain more control over our lives by saving or by investing in the things that matter. Okay, not just the fast food, not just the cosmetics, not just the groceries that we end up throwing away anyway. We've got to really get stringent on what we're choosing to purchase, what we're choosing to consume, because it's not just about the money. For most people, it's going to really help there, but it's also about, shaping the wider economy and about, generating or providing a certain demand that says a lot, collectively, right? Like when we're all buying so many groceries and throwing so much of it away, well, it actually increases the prices, right? Because there's a higher demand. Because we're all buying more than we needed. So it's signaling to the company that, there's more demand and they need to raise prices. So that this hyperconsumption has a major contribution to inflation, but, we're getting super economic all of a sudden. But yeah, that's kind of where you're at in the first week too. Death and the Page of Pentacles. There's a shift in your own economic value, or a shift in your own economic contribution. And it seems to be lessening, which is good, because I think if everybody could do that a little bit and lessen their spending. Okay, it might cause a few problems, but it ultimately will have a price lowering effect. And from like a standpoint of self-fulfilling prophecy to like macroeconomics, all of that stuff. Anyway, Sky the Economist here. Let's see. Also, in your experience, it's wonderful to start new passion projects in the first week and the fourth week. Okay. Passion projects are where it's at for everybody right now, even if you're doing it part-time or if you're doing it as a side project. We all need a little bit of a glimpse into what we care about and how that can become a more giving or prosperous aspect of our experience. What are you passionate about, Geminis? It's great to find a new passion. It's great to find a new clear, like smaller, lighter, less pivotal things. So yeah, you kind of want to watch out for thinking too big at first or wanting everything to be like a huge, Sagittarian kind of like overly powerful, overly heavy thing. Instead of making that small business, we want the huge company. Instead of, that small grassroots organization, we want the huge like platform. It's actually nice to have smaller, lighter things, especially as we move into the 2023 year cycle. And I'm going to do a little bit of forecasting, and I might mention this in public readings as well, but it's just coming through your energy line. There's going to be a cultural shift in 2023 where things that are too huge, things that are too egotistical and too big for their boots, and anything like that is going to become kind of like culturally taboo in a way and seen almost as like a grasping for publicity or a grasping for like a money power or something. So of course there are certain things where it's appropriate for it to be big, but if it's not, and if we're trying to make it bigger than it needs to be, that ever since 2017 has felt like we're expressing ourselves and we're, not thinking too small and limiting ourselves. But in 2023, we're going to have a Saturn quarter shift there in that experience, and it's going to become more like, well, actually, I had to put myself out there in a way that was uncomfortable. Well, actually, I opened myself up to like crazy things like lawsuits. Well, actually, I made myself vulnerable by being so big or thinking so egotistically that it wasn't actually self-loving. And, people who do that are now perhaps seen as even like dishonest actors in some way. So again, there are situations where it's appropriate to be big and it's appropriate. It all depends on the individual. Like there are some people who are listening to this reading who need to do the big thing. But there's going to be a lot of comfort in lighter, smaller avenues of success as well, and creating community around those. All right. And basically, if you're doing anything huge, if you're doing anything that is like a public presence or anything that's like humanitarian or concentrated in any type of like corporate or governmental experiences, prepare for like huge amounts of scrutiny or like audit or some type of like major discernment sort of dissecting energy to come over you, which is good for some people. It helps them to really organize their own lives and to like really figure stuff out, but it's not going to be a very separate experience if you choose something big. So I'm feeling like a lot of Geminis want something big. And this first week energy right after that eclipse is actually saying, whoa, Gemini, look at this kind of like lighter, safer, less scrutinized experience as well. For some of you, that's definitely like take a nice enjoyment, relaxation, tranquil enjoyment of that. And then yes, for others of you, yes, you do need to do the big thing, but it's about learning what you want at the end of the day. And the second week of May is going to give you all of that. 5 of Cups rooted down by the 7 of Pentacles. 7 of Pentacles is coming up a lot this month, and it was last month as well. We can't really seem to like make a judgment on what all we already have. That seems to be a really contingent point for most people in 2022, is spending all this time like taking stock and looking at what we have and observing the things we've amassed over these last like 7 or 8 years. And there's still kind of like a question mark floating over most people's heads. Like, is this what I want? Is this not what I want? How do I kind of lighten my load at this point in time? A lot of people in May and for all of 2022 are called with South Node in Scorpio, right? with the nodal axis indicating a growth and a release somewhere, to delete a few things or to erase certain contributions or to stop certain expenditures. And that takes a really refined Seven of Pentacles archetype, like knowing what you actually have. A lot of people don't know what they actually have, or don't know what they actually spend, or don't know what they're actually contributing. And with Five of Cups holding that up, it's like, how can I ever choose? Because sometimes we have a lot of good stuff too, and it's not possible to do it all. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people there too, where they're like draining their own blood or draining their own energy to upkeep like a bunch of what they feel to be good or important things, but they are shriveled at the end of the day, or they are drained by it because it's too much. So here's where delegation, outsourcing, or letting it go, some of these things, and starting to understand what our baselines are, starting to understand what our foundations are in a different way is going to be the way forward. And it might not happen overnight that we understand how that works, but it's important to know if we are feeling like blood drained, or if we're feeling completely like shriveled or, taken from, to maintain any certain series of events. So week number 3, the Hermit rooted down by the moon. Beautiful. Really nice opportunity to go from that taking stock phase of week 2 and to sit with it, to rest with it. I'm seeing you guys, actually, this is really nice for you and Sagittarius, both, this entire axis. It's like the third week you step out of the gauntlet, or you step out of the harshness to a degree, and then at mid-June it's going to be another degree, or even like the beginning of June, there's going to be like a layered kind of respite. And that's going to allow you the time to kind of ruminate or reflect on where you were over this last 10 or 11 months, and understanding like what the error and what the grace of it was, and how you can refine and calibrate your experience more. The Hermit is about light in the dark. It's about seeing what was too dark to see before. So there's an exploration of shadow for some of you, especially with the moon there. And taking off the rose-colored glasses. The moon can sometimes indicate rose-colored glasses, or seeing things in a favorable light that they are not. And we need to see it if we're doing that. That's very possible with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. The moon is a great archetype to indicate what that conjunction is like. But one way or another, the third week is going to help you to reflect. Okay, week 4, the world rooted down by the King of Wands. Beautiful. So at the end of May, you've done it. You've like figured something out. You've had a breakthrough. You've had some type of impulse that is creative. Like, I love the idea of creative impulse for you at the end of May. New projects, new creative projects that kind of come because you realize what you can't do anymore, or because you made room energetically for something. So we might even want to see in the third week like a walking away from something, or a clearing up of space, so that you have energetic space for this fourth week energy. The world is also coming up for so many signs this month. We are finishing something, especially having death as well. We are signaling some type of chapter end. You know, if you're reading a long book and you see that half occupied page, like, wow, the chapter end is coming. That's kind of the energy for you. You are wrapping something up here, or you're setting the chapter up to de-escalate. So the climax has happened and there's a de-escalation coming for you now. And that's then going to connect to January 2023 as well. You know, I've been talking, I believe, in the eclipse video and the nodal paradigm video about how we have this January 2023 timeline coming up for decision points, for shifting energy in our lives. Understand, if you can, during that time, how you're connecting from like May, June 2022 to January 2023. It might be good to really start to plan as much as you can around that time. So anyway, Geminis, I'm going to conclude your reading and do an extended for you on Patreon. I'm going to get a central theme and 2 supporting themes for you over there. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we can take the evidence that we have, or take the stock that we see here, and start to make conclusions about how to move forward onto our next chapter based on these things we're seeing here. So if you enjoyed it, come check out the extended reading. I do all of them every month on Patreon. You get access to all of them by having the subscription. I do weekly tea chats as well. It's a great space over there. So thank you, Geminis. Let's do that now. It will be linked in the center of your screen and below. Talk to you soon. Bye.